Queens, all along, yeah, Queens, all along, ooh, Queens, all along, powerful Queens, all along, Queens, ooh, Queens, powerful Queens.
Everyone, and welcome back to Queens on the Road podcast. This is Latavia, and I'm here with my recurring guest, Nikki.
Hey!
Hey, Nikki!
What's up, girl?
I'm doing good. How you feeling?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. How was your week?
It was really, really good. It went by fast, but it's really good.
That's good. My week was good, too. It flew by, but it was good. I'm happy to be back recording another episode of the podcast. Have you seen the views from our first episode, girl?
Oh, man, they went crazy. And we just want to say thank you for all your support.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. You are very much appreciated. We hope you enjoy this episode, too.
For today's topic, y'all, we're going to talk about the neurological or brain, visual, and physical conditions that some children with CP may face. I say some because remember, depending on the degree of severity and type, you have different secondary conditions. So let's roll.
So I'm going to talk about neurological or brain conditions. Some individuals who have CP also experience seizures or epilepsy. Seizures can be described as bursts of abnormal electrical activity that disrupts normal brain function. Seizures are sudden and can cause involuntary movements, behavioral changes, or change in awareness. Epilepsy, on the other hand, is a group of disorders characterized by recurrent seizures. CP is associated with seizures because of brain damage or scarring on the brain.
Hey Nick, I'm going to give you a statistic and I'm going to ask you a question pertaining to it. I want you to tell me if you think the incidence is higher or lower. You ready?
Oh, this is the statistical confidence game?
Sure is. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. I'm competitive. I'm a win.
All right, let's go. Between 4 and 10 per 1,000 people are diagnosed with seizures or epilepsy. But how many people do you think with CP are diagnosed with seizures or epilepsy? Nick, do you think the incidence is higher or lower?
I think the incidence is higher for sure. All right. So pause it here. Take a moment. Hit the pause button. Yeah, right there. You see the pause button. Hit it. Comment down below if you think it's lower or higher. And come back and we're going to give you the answer. So what's the answer, Tay?
The answer is it's actually higher. 30 to 50% of children diagnosed with seizures or epilepsy, and it's most commonly found in people with spastic quadriplegia or hemiplegia.
Okay, so for those of you who put higher down below, give yourself a pat on the back because you got a point.
Definitely.
Wow, Tay, thank you so much. That's such great information. Can you tell me what's the most common type of seizure for people that have CP?
I sure can, Nick. So the most common type of seizure is called the complex partial seizure, also known as the temporal lobe seizure. It's when the abnormal electrical activity occurs in one part of the brain and consciousness is affected.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you so much for that explanation.
You know I got you, girl. So thankfully, I never had to experience seizures, but they did tell my mom to watch out for seizures when I was going through puberty because of the hormonal changes. Nick, did you ever experience seizures?
So when I was a child, they told my mom to watch out for seizures because, like we said, people who have CP can experience seizures. So I experienced blackouts when I was a kid, and it was around the age of 4 or 5. I characterize it as a minor seizure, but it's called a petit mal seizure.
Wow, Nick, that's so interesting. Thanks for sharing.
Of course. Thank you for being a listening ear. And for those of y'all listening as well.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. So the next neurological condition that we're going to be talking about, y'all, that can be commonly seen in children with CP is hydrocephalus.
What's hydrocephalus, Tay?
I got you, girl. Hydrocephalus is when there's an enlargement of the ventricles, and the ventricles are spaces filled with fluid, and is combined with signs and symptoms of intracranial pressure. So this happens when the normal flow is blocked, and the fluid is backed up in the ventricles. They become enlarged and put pressure on the brain.
What? Pressure on the brain? Whoa, that sounds intense and painful. Tell me more.
It definitely is intense and painful.
How is hydrocephalus treated?
I got you on that too, girl. So hydrocephalus is treated by a surgery to insert a shunt. The shunt's tubing is inserted in the ventricles, and then the tubing is inserted under the skin, and it comes out through the stomach, more specifically the peritoneal cavity. Sometimes the shunt can be clogged, and you would know this if your child is having frequent headaches and or vomiting, or they become very irritable.
Wow, how does it get clogged, Tay?
It gets clogged by too much cerebral spinal fluid. The shunt can also become infected, but mostly the infection stays in the tubes. If this happens, you have to have a surgery to replace the shunt.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that information.
You're so welcome, and I don't have to deal with this.
Neither do I.
But we definitely do know friends that have to go through this. And let me tell you, they are true warriors, so big up to them.
They sure are. Alright, y'all, so the next neurological condition we're going to talk about is sensory deficits. This includes the startle reflex and sensitive hearing. Babies have startle reflex, but in some people with CP, this doesn't mature, meaning that sound is amplified in their ears, causing them to jump at the smallest sound they hear.
I don't know about you, Nick, but I still have the startle reflex, and whenever I hear a loud sound, I jump through the roof. And when I was in school, children used to make fun of me because of it.
Oh no.
The startle reflex is also a good thing because I always say I have dog hearing. I can hear the slightest little sound. So FYI, guys, don't whisper around me because I probably will hear your whole conversation.
That's your superpower, girl.
So guys, the next topic is going to be a little bit TMI, but I think it's important for us to discuss because some people with CP do face this. So let's get into it.
Some people with CP may have incontinence, but this is due to sensory issues. This is because we don't feel the need to urinate until the last minute.
Yep, guys, so we like to do what you call the pee-pee dance, but we call it the CP rock. Let's lean with it, rock with it, lean with it, rock with it, hey!
Lean with it, rock with it, and sometimes go to the bathroom on yourself, but hey, keep it cute, hey!
Hey, Nick, have you experienced anything with incontinence?
I have, and my experience differs from pre and post surgery. Pre-surgery, I only dealt with incontinence rarely, every once in a while. Like I would wait too long, or I wouldn't get the urge to go, and it would be too late, and I would have an accident. But post-surgery, I find myself dealing with incontinence more because of the surgeries that I had. I had surgeries on both of my legs. So the bottom half of my body is still in recovery mode, and I don't know if incontinence is going to be something that I deal with from here on out. Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's the medication that I'm on, because some of the medications are muscle relaxers. I'm also not sure if it, just post-surgery things. It could also be my spasticity. I also had surgery on my uterus to remove fibroids and polyps. I have an enlarged uterus that rests on my bladder a certain way, so it could be that as well. And also, your girl had a milestone birthday about a month ago, she turned 30, so it could be my age. It is what it is. But I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it definitely could be a combination of everything, Nick. I think, I can say for the muscle relaxers part, I do know, for me, coming from my perspective, when I do take muscle relaxers like baclofen, I don't really like taking them because it takes away all of my spasticity. And I need some of my spasticity in order for me to move and do certain movements. So when you take it all away, I don't feel very good. I feel loosey-goosey, too loose, and I feel like I can't function. So that could also play a part as well.
Not to go off topic on a tangent here, but I think contrary to that, for me, because I deal with spasticity that causes pain, it's a fine line that we deal with between like managing the spasticity, managing pain, and using the spasticity to move. So having CP is an interesting balance.
It definitely is. I don't deal with incontinence, but I deal with not always feeling the urge to go to the bathroom.
Same here.
So my mom would put me on a schedule, and she would say, when you wake up in the morning, go to the bathroom. You go to the bathroom 2 or 3 times in the middle of the day, in the afternoon, and then you go to the bathroom at bedtime, because I don't always feel it. And I don't feel it necessarily until the last minute. So
me too. Then we doing the lean with it, rock with it.
Right? So even now, I still follow that schedule as an adult. And just a side note, guys, if it wasn't for my mom's perseverance and determination for me to be continent, I would not be continent to this day, because the doctors never elaborated on why I would not be able to use the bathroom. They just said that I have the worst type of CP, and that's what comes with the worst form of cerebral palsy.
This could be like a later episode. We could talk about it more if you guys are interested. But I also find that it has to do with like the tilt of my pelvis. So I'm weaker in my like pelvis and stuff, and spasticity. It changes with the positions that I'm in, so I'm weaker in certain positions, and I find that when I'm sitting in certain positions, like I have my pelvis tilted, and I'm sitting in the chair, I have like more of a chance of having an incident with incontinence than I do if I'm laying down.
Yeah, I never experienced that, but I will say, like, if I'm laying down, it's harder for me to hold my urine than when I'm sitting up. When I'm sitting up, it's a whole lot easier than laying down. So I definitely do feel like certain positions, we relax our muscles in certain positions more than in others. So it might have something to do with that. But then again, guys, this is really just our opinion and our perspectives on living with it. Because they don't really know so much about adults with CP and how we have to deal with all this stuff as adults.
It's like when you turn 18, it's like, you don't have CP no more. No CP for adults. It's only in children.
Yes, and that's definitely a topic that we're going to get into later, guys. So definitely tune in, because we got a whole segment, a whole show just on that. Because, boy, if I tell you what I'm going through now as an adult, you'll be like, what?
That's tea. That's when you sit down comfortably on your couch with your pillow, with your tea. You get comfortable when you hear, because you're going to be like, what? What happened? So stay tuned. Come back, because we got the tea.
Definitely.
So the next topic Tay and I are going to talk about is visual impairments.
That's great, Nick, because I always wondered when we were 4 and 5 why you had that eye patch over your eyes. So please explain.
Girl, you remember that patch?
Yes, I remember the patch.
That big old black or white patch?
Yes, I remember the patch.
It was used as a corrective measure because of my CP, I have visual impairment. Your girl got cross-eyed issues. Your girl got strabismus. Your girl can't see. If you standing 2 inches in front of me, that's about it. You got to be directly in my face for me to see. And you know what? Sometimes I don't even put my glasses because I don't want to see. I've seen enough. I'm good.
So as your girl mentioned, she has strabismus. which just means cross-eyed, and she's going to explain her experience about it. So go on, girl.
Alright, so the strabismus, or the cross-eyed, I had to have multiple surgeries and to correct the muscles, make them tighter, finesse them so I could see a little bit better. And I had that surgery when I was 10. And y'all, my eye was so far in, I think my eye was looking back at my brain. But, that's neither here nor there. But I had a surgery when I was 10 to do it. I had the same surgery when I was 21. And your girl's like a used car, okay? I need tune-ups. I'm about to have the surgery again on May 7th to, get my eyes tightened. So it could be a hot girl summer, and I can see.
Ooh, that sounds like a tough surgery. Mm-hmm. So nearly half of all children with spastic CP have strabismus, and 75 to 90% of children with CP have amblyopia or lazy eye. Nick, have you had any experience with any of these?
Yes, I have. So the surgery that I was just talking about, which tightens my muscles and stuff, also addresses my amblyopia because, listen, your girl's eyes was going two separate ways, okay? One was going in and the one was going out into the clouds. And it's interesting because pre-surgery, I didn't realize that I was doing certain things because my vision was affected because of my amblyopia, lazy eye, or my cross-eyedness. So when I was a kid, when I would talk or when I would read something, I would tilt my head because my eyeball was over here and over here. So I would tilt my head so I would be able to see. So when I would write, I would lay my head down on the table. If I needed to see a board and I saw it better, I would lay my head down on the table. And I didn't realize that these things were connected to my vision. So when I had the surgery, I no longer had to do those things because the surgery improved my vision and I was able to read, write, and look straight ahead without having to adjust my body to match my eyeballs, which was going all different types of ways.
That's very, very interesting. So did you see differently?
I definitely did. After the surgery, I was able to see as soon as I was able to open my eyes, which was immediately. I opened my eyes the same day. It was just painful.
Thanks for sharing, Nick. That was very insightful.
No problem. Whew, so I feel like I've been talking about my experience living with CP a lot. Tay, have you had any issues with eyes? I'd love to hear your story.
I sure have. So I have retinopathy of prematurity, and that just comes from when you had oxygen as a premature baby. So that just basically means that my retina can detach. So I have to be mindful of that as an adult. So recently when I went last year, they actually saw a small tear in my retina, but thankfully it healed on its own.
I'm glad to hear that.
It was definitely scary. And then you could have optic atrophy.
What's that?
Optic atrophy is the shrinking of the optic nerve, which is something that I have to be mindful of too.
Why? Can you tell me more?
I have to be mindful of it because I had retinopathy of prematurity. They kind of go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So I just have to be mindful of that and get regular vision checkups to make sure nothing's going on and everything is perfect and I can see. All right?
Okay. So, Tay, anything else you would like to share in regards to your experience living with CP and visual impairments?
Definitely, Nick. So, I've had visual spatial deficits, and that means it's just hard for me to tell the spatial relationship between objects. So, for me, like the end of the table is really like the middle of the table, or I have a hard time lining things up perfectly in the middle. So, that's why, as a kid, I used to hate geometry with a passion, because when they ask you to tell which angle is this or find the angle to this measurement, your girl had to highlight every angle in different colors just so I could see.
Same girl, same here.
So what was your experience like?
I guess I have visual spatial impairments too, because I'm always sitting on the edge, putting things on the edge, and in my head, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's not close to the edge. That's in the middle. Or I'm sitting back. And then my mom was like, why you on the edge doing a balancing act? And for somebody that has balancing issues, I'm for sure always doing balancing things.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like some visual spatial deficits to me. Girl, it's a struggle. But we make it do.
Sure do. Ain't that the purpose of this podcast?
Definitely.
If we haven't been personal enough on this podcast, now we're going to talk about the physical impacts of cerebral palsy. So let us know, Tay. What's up?
Girl, buckle up your seat because it's a really long list. But we're going to start off with some people with CP can have sleeping problems. So that means the natural rhythm of sleep can be disturbed. Or you can have sleep apnea, which means you stop breathing when you sleep. And I used to have a problem with that. That's why they removed my adenoids and my tonsils. But it came back, girl. But that's a story for another day. I keep telling y'all to tune in because I got more for y'all.
We sure do.
Another problem could be hearing impairments. So 15% of children with CP can have a hearing impairment and will need hearing aids.
I am someone who has CP and has hearing impairments. Yes, I've had issues with hearing, particularly on my left side. It's affected more than my right side. And so I don't need a hearing aid yet, but I am noise sensitive, have difficulty hearing lower vibrational sounds. And I've had to have surgery on my ears twice.
Alright guys, so get ready for another TMI moment.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy, here it goes.
Constipation. Constipation happens because we may have low tone, and because the colon is a muscle, it may have low tone too. It may be unable to contract to push the stool out of the rectum. So some individuals who have CP may need a medication to help stimulate the contraction. One example of this medication is Senapils. Senapils don't work for me. Do they work for you, Tay?
They definitely work for me, but I've also found that I can stay regular if I drink a lot of smoothies with vegetables and fruits in it. But everybody's different. So it really just depends on what works for the person, you know?
For me, I've had my share of issues with constipation. I find that Senna works sometimes, but Metamucil is my queen. She always comes through at the last minute and gets your girl going.
Oh, see, me and Metamucil don't get along. It just gives me a whole bunch of gas that I really don't need. Another physical condition you can see is called hip subluxation, and that's just when the hip bone comes out of the socket.
Y'all know what time it is. It's fun fact time, y'all. And this time the fact is people with CP can't feel when the hip bone comes out of the socket because the tight muscles keep the bone close to the socket. Tay, have you had any experience with your hips not cooperating?
I sure have. And let me tell you, I didn't even feel it. So the only way you really find out if your hip bone came out of the socket is if you have so many x-rays. But if you want to hear more about my story, you have to tune in, y'all. Keep tuning in. Keep tuning in.
Alright, y'all. So now we're going to talk about the most important thing when it comes to cerebral palsy. And I think, Tay, it's time for you to have a little quiz question.
Alright.
So, what is CP?
CP is a neurological condition that is caused by damage to the cerebrum.
Okay, and what does it affect?
It affects our movements, our ability to move around, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead, girl. You passed with flying colors. Okay.
A++.
A+ play. It's for you, girl. So, for people with cerebral palsy, it's hard for us to walk and move. And it differs by the type of CP and the person. But for people with floppy CP, it's hard to control the movements. Where people with spastic CP, it's hard to initiate the movements. I can speak for myself when I say, whenever I need to move, I unconsciously tell myself, okay, I'm going to move my leg. Okay, I'm going to move this leg. Okay, we're going to take a couple steps. And that means we're walking.
Yeah, I can definitely say for me, whenever I try to walk, it feels like I have 20-pound weight on my leg. On top of the only 82 pounds I have. It feels like I weigh so much more. And you're right. You kind of have to, like, will your body to move. Because that brain is not sending signals anywhere. Mm-hmm. So it's literally me telling myself silently, like, move your left arm up. Move your left arm to the right. Move your left arm to the left. Mm-hmm. It's literally like that on a daily. And that's why I guess it's so exhausting.
Mm-hmm. Y'all gonna judge me hard, but like I use both a wheelchair and a walker, and pre-surgery I had a different way of doing things. You know, I had my own rhythm. Like, okay, this is how I'm gonna do it. Then I had surgery, y'all. It knocked me on my butt so hard. I had to learn how to stand up again. It felt like I had 2-ton weights on my legs trying to get me back up. But y'all gonna judge me, and I'm dating myself back real hard. But my inspiration song is the song with Destiny's Child and Elmo. You remember that? When he's like, I got a new way to walk, walk, walk. I got a new way to walk. I sure do. I have a new way to walk. I'm a waddle. I have to waddle back and forth and learn how to walk again. So it's really hard. It's exhausting. Having cerebral palsy is exhausting.
It definitely is exhausting. But before they get to the surgeries, they do give us a lot of stuff to remediate and try to help us walk. They give us the braces, Nick. They gave us the A-frame. You remember that A-frame brace that was in the shape of an A-frame?
I sure did.
In the shape of an A. And your legs had to come out. Then they had the thing where they bent your pelvis up. Sure, so you had to sit. Oh, girl, that hurt.
Listen.
And even stretches to this day hurt. It feel like you are pulling your muscle right off the bone or something.
Listen, the pivot. What? The pivot? I felt pain and I was like, oh. I couldn't sit. I couldn't do nothing. To this day, I'm afraid to pivot. And when I was younger, I despised knee immobilizers. Okay? You remember the knee immobilizers?
Oh, I have some in my closet right now.
I despised them. Post-surgery, I'm like, please, give me all the knee immobilizers. They protect me. I felt like it protected me from the pain. It was less pain.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one thing you learn as an adult that we didn't quite know as a kid is that all this stuff is going to help you in the long run. But let me tell you, it is not easy. Mm-mm. We definitely needed physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. We needed all the therapies. And you do definitely need those braces. I know to this day, I wear my braces. I know some of my friends don't like to wear their braces.
I don't. I'm one of those friends. I don't know. I feel like when I wear my braces, it messes up with my balance. And I have more balance when I don't have my braces.
See, I'm the complete opposite. Like, I can't function without my braces on because I feel like when I take my braces off, oh my goodness, all that weight is on my feet and honey child. That's
how I felt immediately after the surgery. Like, I would go to get up and I'll collapse.
Yeah, and that's definitely me. When I don't have my braces on, I'm crouching all the way down to the floor. I mean, I'm literally on the floor.
I've been there, done that, girl. I feel you.
So I love having my braces on. I even go to sleep with them on. They are my best friends.
I hope that this podcast shows you that cerebral palsy, although it's the most common motor disability, it varies so much between types and people and lived experiences. And I'm just grateful that we get to share two different perspectives.
Definitely.
I'm gonna leave y'all with our quote of the episode, and the quote is as follows: "The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you gotta put up with the rain." And that was said by the great Dolly Parton.
So this quote encompasses this episode because, y'all, we have made it through the rain. The stories you heard today on today's podcast was only a sliver of what we've been through. Okay?
That's for real.
So we have made it to the rainbow, and it is time to celebrate. Celebrate good times. Come on!
Let's celebrate. It's been a lot of rainstorms. Well, that's all we have for today's podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope that you took away something that is useful. Please share this podcast with anyone you feel like it may be helpful for. And please submit questions that you have for me and Tay to our email,
queensonaroll.podcast@gmail.com.
Again, that's queensonaroll.podcast@gmail.com. Please submit your questions. We would be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for listening. We rolling out.
Bye.
Peace.